Hello everyone, Bowtie here, and welcome to a brand new series on my channel where we are going to be completing 15-minute build challenges. These challenges are proposed to me by members of my stream chat on Twitch. So if you want to get in on this action, feel free to join me in my streams. I'll have links to that down in the description below. And in today's video, we were challenged by Sir Greggy to see if we can build a log cabin in 15 minutes or less. So let's see how I did. Overall, I think this log cabin came out looking pretty good. Let me know what you guys feel down below in the description. I also made a time lapse of this build, so we're gonna go ahead and check that out. And make sure you stay tuned after the time lapse to see me put in a little bit more work on this build and turn it into a great looking starter house for your survival worlds. All right, so I was a little bit nervous the first time I tried doing this challenge. This was my very first one I ever tried. So I started off by coming up with a rough shape, an idea of what I want to do. I'm using a reference image here, so I know a little bit of what I am doing. So I do the main build section, then I add a little extension here on the side. This is going to end up being the entrance into the log cabin. After that, I decide to move on to just outlining where I want the porch and where I want the chimney to be before going on to getting all the walls up for the log cabin. I go up, I think, 4 blocks here. I start off with 3, go up to 4, and I really regret actually going up 4 blocks. It wound up causing a little bit of awkwardness later on that we'll get into when I show off the completed build after the time lapse. But, you know, in the beginning here, the 4 high was working just fine, and then I made some design element changes that really kind of messed that up. Now, on the corners here, I have these logs sticking out, and I thought that was going to be a good way to show that this is a log cabin, you know, that they got the cross sections of the logs. And I thought it ended up looking a little bit funny. So instead, I come back and I texturize it using the ends of the log blocks going in a, you know, crisscross pattern in that way to show that they're different logs. I don't stick with that. I end up changing again a little bit later on. But now we're working on the entrance to the build. And I'm debating how high I want this to go. If I want it to go up to the same height or a little bit lower. And ultimately, I decide to go a little bit lower. And again, that's a decision that kind of comes back and bites me later on. So I'm looking at this and I am pretty happy with the shape and the size so far, and I decided to work on the roof, starting with the entrance bit first, playing around with stairs, slabs, full blocks, and trapdoors using dark oak here. Not sure exactly what I want to do, and then eventually I just settle on a design that I already had in my head, because I'm kind of tight on time here, so I can't be messing around and experimenting too much. So I just bring that all the way over, and I ended up bringing out one more just to have a bit of an overhang and add a little bit more depth and interest here. So next up, I decide to start work on the chimney, and I bring that up. I'm going to put in just a second here a stair for a bit of detail and add a little bit more interest to that. I'm not sure how I want to do the top, so I go and start working on the porch instead. And this is where I decide that I'm going to actually be elevating the build 1 higher, and why I wish I went up maybe 5 or 6 for the walls instead of the 4 that I did, because when I end up adding in a floor on the inside, it's kind of awkward, doesn't leave a lot of headspace, and the windows are attached at ground level. So now I'm on the roof just doing a simple staircase design with a slab at the top, and then I bring the spruce wood stairs across for the trim and repeat the same pattern on the other side. Nothing too fancy here, just sticking with easy things that I already know and can do quickly. So I get the temporary blocks out of there, and then I start thinking about what do I want to do for the actual roof blocks themselves. So I decided to do something a little bit different from what I normally do, and this isn't something I've actually done before. So I come in with the spruce logs to add a little bit of texture, and those match up pretty well with the dark oak that we're already using in our roof over the entrance area, and just top that off with another line of spruce slabs at the top there. Now in the A-frame area, I'm not sure what I want to do. I tried dark oak first and don't like how it looks. I think it's a little too contrasty. So then I get the bright idea of adding in barrels. So the openings of the barrels are actually facing on the inside of the build. And that wound up being a really great choice that I'll show you later on in the video. And I do the same thing on both sides. It's a great way to add a lot of storage into this build. So I'm sizing everything up. I think it looks pretty good, and I think it's time to go back and work on that chimney. So I just add in a couple of campfires at the top, come in with some oak trap doors, and then cap it off with 2 slabs of cobblestone on the top of the chimney there. So right now I'm thinking everything's looking pretty good, and it's time to start moving on to a little bit more of the details, starting off with the door right there on the porch. And then I start moving on to some of the windows. I fumble around with the windows a bit, trying to figure out where they should be on the 2 sides and trying to get them to line up properly. So I readjusted the one by the door, and then I'm fixing this one up. And I just keep these 2 wide on both sides, added another 3 wide window in the back, and I think another 2 windows here on the side after I extend that back roof just a little bit more to match the front of it. So here I'm coming pretty close to the end of my time, just trying to rush in a couple more details here with trap doors and changing out the corners here for logs. And that is where the time runs out. Overall, I think I did a pretty good job in such a short amount of time. So what do you guys think? Welcome back from the time lapse. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I know I certainly did making it. So let's take a look and see what enhancements I've actually done to this log cabin after that time lapse. So we went ahead and we pasted it inside of this new world, and I've added a lot of extra detail to it. So I put a lot of stuff to give life to it around the area, adding in grass and trees, a little garden here with your different crops for your starter farms. We got beetroot, we got the wheat, we got carrots, we got potatoes all in here. It even comes with 2 of my dogs. These are actual models of my dogs that I have, and we come right up in here. You're going to notice that I've added a lot of extra texture to this build. So a few things that I've done is I've changed out parts of the chimney here for stair blocks, and we threw in some mossy cobble and stone as well. We added some texture to the cabin bits itself. Right here we have some dark oak wood and spruce wood, as well as some spruce signs, kind of act like, you know, parts of this thing was patched up. We added some trimming here with trap doors and slabs at the bottom of the roof, and a lantern, of course, because you need light when you come in here. We'll go inside in a second. We'll get to that. There's also a flower box right here. We added some awnings just above the window, a little extra detail here with the trap doors and the what are those called? Those are called fence gates. Put in the logs, extending out just a little bit more to give support to the roof with some buttons on the front here. And then coming around, we have stairs supporting all the different structures with more bushes and grasses. We even had a little cellar build. We'll get down there soon enough, don't you worry. Coming around back, we removed the window that we put in, and I decided to turn this into a bit of like a stockpile for wood and a composter for like trash and things like that. And that's a really nice addition to the build. I really like adding that in. What else have we added? And if we come back around here, get out of the way. We have just another flower box right here. This time it's just a bush on a trap door with some signs, keeping it nice and contained. So let's go inside and check the build out. How you doing, Lilu? So inside here, made quite a difference. Another thing that I did, as I talked about this in the video, is that the build is a little too close to the floor here. So I did raise it up a couple of blocks, enough to put in space between the windows and the floor, and I think one above the windows as well. So we added in a lot of detail here. We have a little hanger on the wall for like coat rack. That's just a tripwire hook, composter with some leaves on top, and underneath the composter here. Ooh, lighting. If you guys don't know about that, you got to check out my hidden lighting video. Lots of good rewind. A lot of good tricks in that video. Some carpet here to wipe your feet on before you get into the rest of the build. Texturize the floor a little bit with some stripped oak wood. Added in a nice chimney on the inside there. I really like doing this. We have this, I don't really know what I was going for here, but we have a nice couch and coffee table thing here. And I just got a couple of armor stands stuck into the floor here with hats on top, just to add like there's some knickknacks or something on top of the coffee table. This was a pretty cool trick. If I come down here, I can show you. I have soul sand to get this armor stand just to sit a little bit lower, because soul sand's not a full block. And over here, I just have it on top of a normal block. So you just push those in with pistons, and voila, you got some detail here. Adding in some paintings in the background there. This is like our kitchen area. So we got our smoker in here for cooking up our meat. This is our sink with our lever for our faucet, some above the kitchen cabinet counter thing, whatever you call this stuff. Storage right up here is a couple of barrels. And then we have a couple of sea pickles here to act like, you know, these are dirty dishes that need to get washed in the sink. We have our cutting board with knife on this counter. and then some food that maybe we're preparing for our next meal with a another bush hanging up here. Like maybe this is a bush that's used for different herbs or things that I pick out and add a little bit of seasoning when I'm preparing here, looking out the window over this amazing, amazing view. Now, underneath the stairs, of course, we have a bookcase in here, and something that we're going to be spending a lot of time on the couch reading with a nice shroom light here. Just put an end rod, a shroom block on top of that, and a crafting table for your survival crafting needs. Lots of good stuff in here, lots of good things that make this into a good survival build. Upstairs, we got our barrels. So if you saw the time lapse, on the outside, you saw the back sides of these barrels, but now on the inside, look at all the storage that we have. We have 9 barrels right here ready for storing things in, as well as 9 barrels on the opposite side. I threw in a couple of armor stands up here for keeping your gear ready to go if you have backup sets or whatever. If you have different sets for maybe going to the nether or end exploring or something like that. Then we got a little desk area here using, what are these beehives as like filing cabinets. Maybe this is a writing desk. So I threw in a book here. Maybe this is a notepad or a piece of paper on the wall that you can jot down notes and things as you're doing stuff on your desk. And a couple more points of interest back here. We got a loom, another crafting table, a cartography table before we get to our bed hanging out here and back. And of course, some paintings and flower pots with a fern and lanterns, and another chest for storage. Oh, I missed this on the outside. I came back in and I also used some dark oak planks in the roof up there just to add a little bit more variety and texture. Okay, so here we are back on the outside, and let's go down to our cellar. Just something nice and simple here, adding in a couple of trapdoors to act as like the thing that closes it to get up and down. So we come down here. I used a nice combination of blocks: basalt, polished basalt, I think that's gray concrete powder, even threw in a couple of furnaces down into the ground as well. So we're going to have basically every block that you need for survival used in this build. So you got your furnaces down here, nice brewing station here with mushrooms and a fermented spider eye. Back in the corner, you have your stone cutter. I threw in a couple of pieces of woods, like maybe this is actually like a table saw, and I come back here and cut things up. Another furnace hidden in the ground back there, still usable. We got some more storage with the barrels up on top here. And of course, we have a full enchanting setup. So I come in here and I don't have a piece of lapis or a sword, but promise, this is a full enchanting setup. So you can come in here, enchant your gear. If you don't like it, you come over to the grindstone and get rid of it, do it again. Or maybe you're upgrading your nether, your armor to netherite. You can do that back here, or just need to naming things or combine your gear. That's all done back here. So we have basically everything that you need for your survival world contained within this one little build. So I'm absolutely loving this build, and I hope you guys are too. If you want to see a block for block tutorial on this survival friendly starter house, let me know down in the comments below, and maybe that'll be one of my next videos. Also, be sure to click on one of the end cards here on the screen. They're going to take you to a playlist or another useful video filled with building tips and tricks. They're going to help you improve your building. Lots of good information on there, from custom trees, hidden lighting, to even making better roofs. Be sure to check those out. But until next time, guys, this is Bowtie, and I'll see you later.